Whether he's ministering to students as the spiritual life director at Emmanuel College in North Georgia in the United States, or he is out speaking across the country related to the books that he's written or his life story, my guest Chris Maxwell is someone with lots of stories to tell. And in the busyness of life, he has discovered the importance of the word pause, P-A-U-S-E. And this is his new book. It's called Pause with Jesus. You see it there on the screen by Chris Maxwell. Welcome to 100 Huntley Street. First time here.
Yes, my first time.
Oh,
it's
man.
an honor to be with you guys.
It's good to have you. This is your 7th book.
My 7th book.
And I think 4 now on pause.
Yeah, learning to just hit pause in our busy life.
Well, let's orient this way. Orientate our audience. You have Pause for Pastors, Finding Still Waters in the Storm of Ministry. There's also Pause for Moms.
Pause for Moms, yeah. We have moms that are so busy taking care of everybody but themselves.
And then the initial pause.
Yeah, Pause, the secret to a better life, so one word at a time.
I think that you found something, obviously, and the Lord's been able to expand it. Is there a story behind where you learned to pause in your relationship with God?
Well, it's sometimes I feel like I'm writing about or talking about that is very difficult for me to do because I am busy, I'm in a hurry, and like so many people in our driven, fast-paced, rapid world, I've got a lot of things to do in a short amount of time to do those. But there's been a lot of different seasons in life where I've learned the beauty of the now, just the wonder of the moment. And when I wrote the first book in the Pause series, the original title was Words of Wonder. Each chapter title, one word. And I wanted it to be spiritual formation, our own spiritual growth and development, building a stronger relationship with God, but slowing our pace. Instead of doing more to impress God, how can we find Him in the now? Driving down the road, going to eat at the restaurant, having a conversation with you, and in the dialogue. Where is God in the picture? He is here.
Chris, in your own life, there's a story of health.
Yes.
That was a setback, but eventually has become a launching pad for you to be able to share your story.
Right.
Which is a very compelling story, not only as an author, but someone who's experienced a real battle.
Yeah.
So tell our folks what happened to you health-wise and where this has gone.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I would be as willing to pause if I had not experienced the pain that I went through, that my family went through, that our church went through in March of 1996. I was Healthy Chris, pastoring a wonderful congregation there in Orlando.
20 years ago.
Yeah,
I bet
20 years.
You were on fire.
Oh, I was healthy. I was writing curriculum and book reviews and just enjoying life and busy. And I had a brain that worked well. You know, I could remember people's names. I could preach sermons and not have to use notes and memorize different books of the Bible. And it was just like easy for me.
So God had given you the ability to capture information and retain it.
And retain it. And I no longer can do that.
What happened?
March of 96, I became very ill. Healthy Chris became sick quickly, and I was sent to the hospital eventually, and they did not think I would live. They thought I would die, and once they realized that I was going to live, they determined that I would never be able to speak again, write again.
And you're a pastor and a writer.
Yeah, and so it's like God is so good. In the middle of my pain, there I was suffering from encephalitis. And dying. And here I am 20 years later. And so God, in the middle of my pain and my weakness, I'm now living with epilepsy. That's one of the long-term effects. I have severe scar tissue in my left temporal lobe. But now I travel and speak for a pharmaceutical company and for conferences telling the story.
Well, we fast forward to even real time. You and I were talking about when we both flew into Toronto to do this together. And we came on the same day. I started in Atlanta, but you started in another place, and you had been speaking at a conference.
Right.
And it was about epilepsy or encephalitis.
Right, and I'm invited many different places just to tell my story.
Wow.
And the reason is because so many people in today's culture, in various nations all around the world, who are suffering from encephalitis, or suffering from epilepsy, or a variety of diseases or life Ds, life disappointments, debt, divorce, all of the different Ds of life, they feel alone. And I go and tell my story, and it's not really just about me telling my story and talking about my thing. It's helping us move from the singular to the plural, that we are in this together.
So somewhere, Chris, in this journey 20 years ago, just a pause button. It's like God put a pause button on your
Right.
life, and your health was in decline. Here you are making your livelihood and fulfilling your spiritual giftedness,
Yes.
preaching, teaching, writing, communicating. Now all that's on the altar.
Yes.
It's fading from you. Is that pause what led to these pause themes?
Yeah,
and books?
unintentionally, but I would not be writing this.
You
if I
wouldn't have
had not
seen that back
experienced
then.
This. Because I could tell you about Jesus, I could give you the doctrinal theological statements
Sure.
about Jesus, I could quote the scripture. But just as I was writing this book last summer, The Pause with Jesus, because of the pace of life now that I have to live, I have to take medication, I have to watch my hours because of the way this electrical system of the brain works. There's beauty in that, though. There's hope in the pain. Sometimes we have to remember that often His strength is made perfect in our weakness. So as I was writing that story, I'm like, I've been teaching about this and preaching about this and writing about these gospel narratives for so many years. But I'm writing, I feel like I'm falling in love with Jesus all over again. And I'm not just saying that to sound religious. It was just beating in this brain of mine, in this heart of mine. And as people read it, some of them not followers of Christ, they're like, this isn't the Jesus I had heard about in the past.
Yeah.
This seems like a new Jesus.
Well, can we transition and talk about the actual book itself?
Yes.
You've had a series of books on pause. That's a theme. That's a signature theme for
Right.
you. This you subtitled, I think it's here, Encountering His Story in Everyday Life. So
Yeah.
what's his story?
His story was with me yesterday as I was flying on a plane, meeting a young man from another nation who had never understood Jesus the way I did, and just having dialogue with him. I didn't
You
need to
paused.
be the preacher
But
then.
you paused to
yeah,
do
I
that.
wanted to pause with Jesus and him
Yeah.
together in this life. Where am I in the gospel narratives? Am I the son running away from home, the son staying home? Am I the dad? Am I the little short man climbing a tree to look at Jesus? Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Am I the Thomas who doubts or the Peter who
Yes.
denies? Yes and yes. But I'm the fisherman, and Jesus is on shore, and He is saying, come and have breakfast.
Yeah.
That's what He's saying to us. And it's not theory, it's reality, because I need breakfast with Jesus.
You need to pause.
I need to hit
and
pause.
have breakfast with him.
Yes.
You need to pause and seek his counsel about a decision you need to make.
Right.
You need to pause and think about how you may have been confronted about something that's true and how you need to deal with the consequences and how to get better.
Right.
To pause. And in our very hurried, noisy world, you do have to be intentional about this.
Oh, yeah.
Or the extreme of that is you get laid flat of your back.
Right.
Life overtakes you.
Yeah.
And something catches up, and boy, when it does, you need to be ready to pause.
You need to be ready to pause. And as I work with the college students there at Emmanuel, and I see their rapid pace of life and the high expectations, and they're
Yeah.
planning the future, I want them to really experience Emmanuel, Jesus, the God with us in the present, in the now, and see the beauty in the moment.
How did you structure this book? Because when I looked through it and read some segments of it, it's devotional in nature. There are 30 articles
Yeah,
or chapters.
30.
And then there are, at the end of each one, there are, you call it reflect, receive, respond. This is interactive. You can respond to it.
It's like spiritual formation. It's practicing spiritual disciplines in a different way, in a conversational style, not academic, deep, but it's like the conversation you and I are having. Ask a question to yourself. Think and process. Where are you in the story? And quotes from other authors who've written about that. And then the biblical text that tells the story.
This could be used in a small group setting,
Yeah,
too.
some groups are using it in small groups, and they're having dialogue, just healthy conversation. Asking, where are you in the story?
Yeah. As you look forward in future pauses with Jesus, what do you see? What do you anticipate now?
I want to live it. Man, I want to live with Jesus. I want to live with Jesus, not the preacher who can explain Jesus to someone else, but just the weak man in need of Jesus beside me. I want to have Jesus at breakfast with me, have dialogue with Him. We say that we believe after the outpouring of the Holy Spirit that we are filled with that power of the Spirit. But why?
Yeah.
So that we can reflect Jesus locally and globally. But we can't display Him if we're not living with Him in the now.
So, Chris, your view, your theology would be that whether you met me today or people that you'll meet later in the time that you're in Ontario, as you get on the plane to go back to to Emmanuel College. No meeting you have is by accident. No person you meet is by accident. The Lord has orchestrated a lot of that. And that really does help you pause and think about the value of people that you meet. They're not there just randomly.
And they are not just people. They are made in the image of God. Yeah. How we treat them is how we're treating Him. Can't we love them, those people that are different from us, that maybe disagree with us, and invite Jesus into the dialogue? What would He say to them? What would He ask them?
What would He be listening to?
Yeah,
because He listens so very, very well. This is a tremendous approach. I congratulate you on it, and I thank you for allowing us to hear your story, to be able to,
appreciate it.
To tell your story. It's called Pause with Jesus. And I think the same way Chris comes across gently and kindly in this interview, you get that tone and tenor inside this book. There's a series of Paul's books, and a total of 7 works now that Chris has put together. You've seen the website as to how you can get in touch with him. I hope that you will follow up and get this book. One last thought before we go. When you pause with Jesus tonight and you reflect on the day, what do you anticipate that will be like?
Well, in the natural, Chris would say, oh, you should have been nicer to more people or done this or done that. But I believe Jesus is not saying that. He's saying, Chris, I enjoy you. You are important to me. I am going to change this world through brain-damaged people like you. Let me.
Thanks, my friend.
Thank you.
If you have a spiritual need, if you'd like to talk to someone today, there's a prayer line on the screen. Call. Maybe you need to pause, spend some time probing the claims of Christ. Maybe you need to pause and pray with someone. Give us a call. And when you have an opportunity, pick up the book, Pause with Jesus by our new friend, Chris Maxwell. Thanks, Chris.